Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Don't Risk It podcast presented by VFIS Risk Control and Education. This program focuses on the exposures our clients frequently encounter and discusses some potential solutions to help reduce these exposures. I'm your host, Chris Rogers, and today we're discussing therapy dogs and emergency services. Joining me on the program today is Brent Lewis, and Brent is a regional director for VFIS of South Carolina, and he's joining us today to discuss how therapy dogs are used in emergency services and to clarify some misconceptions of therapy dogs versus service dogs. Brent, I want to thank you for joining me today, and it's a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you, Chris. It's a pleasure for me to be here, and I look forward to talking about my therapy dog, Maggie, and how we can integrate her into first response agencies.
And we can't wait to hear your story. So, there's often people might have an idea of what a service animal is, or they might think they have an idea of what a service animal is. Can you define for our audience truly what a service animal is?
So to answer that question, we'll be looking to the ADA's definition of a service animal. What the Americans with Disabilities Act says about service animals is, number one, it has to be a dog. Number two, any breed and any size of a dog is acceptable. Number three, it must be trained to perform a task directly related to a person's disability. So in order to understand better what a service animal is, we need to understand what a service animal is not. A service animal is not required to be certified or to go through any professional training program. They're not required to wear a vest or have any ID that indicates that they are a service dog. And lastly, they are not emotional support or comfort dogs, because providing emotional support or comfort is not a task related to a person's disability as defined by the ADA.
Are there people that try to skirt the system by using the vest to try to get an animal that might not be a service animal to try to get them into places where, only truly trained service animals are allowed?
And unfortunately, we do see that. We see that across the country. Unfortunately, you can go to any vendor of choice, up to and including Amazon, and purchase a service dog vest for your dog, or for any type of animal for that matter. That does not make them a service dog. What makes them a service dog is that they are trained to perform a task directly related to a person's disability.
Are they licensed? I mean, does someone have to carry around some type of licensure or something to prove that this dog has that certification?
No, sir. In fact, you can only, if someone tells you that they have a service dog, legally you can only ask them what service is that dog trained to provide.
So what types of work or tasks do service animals perform?
Service dogs perform tasks anywhere from items such as a person who may be disabled and in a wheelchair, that dog may be trained to retrieve personal objects for them, whether it be objects for their personal care, whether it be obtaining things out of the refrigerator. They may have depression, and they may have a dog that is trained to remind them to take their medication. A person with PTSD may have a dog that is trained to lick their hand to alert them to an oncoming panic attack, to change their focus. A person who has epilepsy may have a dog that is trained to detect the onset of a seizure and then help the person remain safe during the seizure.
So you talked about, some of the different types of dogs or animals that can be used in this setting. Can you talk about the difference between service therapy, companion, and social therapy animals?
Absolutely. The primary difference lies in their purpose and legal protection. Service animals are trained to perform specific tasks for a person with a disability, and because of that, they have public access rights under the Americans with Disabilities Act. Therapy animals provide comfort and support in a controlled setting like a hospital, nursing home, through organized visits, but are not federally protected for public access. Companion animals, also known as pets, offer affection and companionships, but do not have special rights or training for specific tasks. The term social or therapy animal is often used interchangeable, with a therapy animal referring to an animal that provides comfort or supports specific goals in a therapeutic intervention.
So let's move on to your story. How did your organization become active with service animals, and what was the process behind that?
So, as you stated earlier on, my current role is I am an insurance producer for Correll Insurance Group, which is an independent producer for VFIS in South Carolina. My interest in the therapy dog program actually started prior to me coming to work for Correll Agency. During my 29 years of public safety, combined fire, EMS, and law enforcement, I saw the need where our first responders needed extra help, needed extra tools to help them to survive some of the calls that we see. What we don't want is our first responders taking additional steps or taking the stress of their job home to their family. So with the use of a trained therapy dog, the therapy dog can actually assist them through getting some of their frustrations out, lowering their anxiety level, lowering their blood pressure, because who doesn't love a pet? The difference between a pet and a therapy dog is that therapy dog is specifically trained to love on them. Not all dogs can become therapy dogs, but the ones that are lovable and cuddable, those are the type of animals that we want to see used in a therapy dog environment.
It sounds like it's with the focus that's on mental health and emergency services. It sounds like that this is another tool in the toolbox. We have peer support programs where we can go talk to someone that might help us through a situation, but this is another avenue where maybe we don't need to talk to someone in this situation. We're just feeling a certain way, that this is another avenue or a tool in the toolbox to help the mental health of our service providers.
Absolutely. And some departments across the country have established therapy dog programs where they actually have therapy dogs that either live in their stations or that are available on call to rotate through their stations as needed. These animals are not scared of the environments that they will be around in a fire station.
They thrive in it, I think.
They do. And their goal is to go in and allow someone who's having a bad day to love on that animal, to get love back from that animal, and hopefully change the outcome of whatever situation they're facing.
So was there any research that had to be done, or any research that you went into to develop this?
So personally, I did. I pulled resources off the internet. I contacted a fire department in North Carolina who has an established therapy dog program, spoke with their folks, reached out to the Brevard County Sheriff's Office. They have a program there in Florida called the Paws and Stripes College, and I'll talk more about that later on. But there's an enormous amount of resources out on the internet. Of course, it's just like everything that you search on the internet. You need to make sure that it is truly a valid site and that the information you're getting is really what you're looking for. But information on how to train a dog, how to certify your therapy dog, all of that information is out there, and there's some great resources available that we'll actually talk about toward the end of our discussion.
So can we move on to talking about Maggie?
Absolutely. So Maggie is, of course, my therapy dog. Maggie is an 18-month-old golden doodle. We acquired her last year. So at the age of about 6 months, we began training her in basic obedience with the intent of sending her to a training program or us attending a training program to certify her as a therapy dog. It was my goal that I wanted to use her not only for my fire departments that I take care of as part of a VFIS program, but also to make her available to any local agency that has a need. There are agencies across the country that are using them both in the fire service, in law enforcement, in an EMS environment, because of the ability that these dogs have to make our first responders have a better day. After several months of research, several months of aggressive training for Maggie, in January of this past year, we actually attended the Paws and Stripes College ourselves at the Brevard County Sheriff's Office, which is a 1-week program. They have a program there where not only if you have your own dog, you can bring your dog and get that dog and you certified as a therapy dog team, but they also have a system in place for agencies that may be looking to acquire a therapy dog. You apply to their program, and once you are accepted, you show up for the week-long training program and you leave with a therapy dog. Those folks down there do an excellent job. They actually have a head trainer that supervises all the training that goes on, as well as they have some inmate trustees as part of their jail that work on the basic obedience training for the dogs that are in their program. During that week-long program, not only was Maggie and I certified as a multidisciplinary therapy dog team, but Maggie also completed her AKC Basic and AKC Advanced certification testing process while she was there. So we're pretty proud of her for that. A lot of agencies that certify therapy dogs will not certify them, at least until they are 12 to 18 months old. Fortunately for us, the Brevard County Sheriff's Office was a little more lenient on that, and Maggie has been useful ever since.
So how do you deploy Maggie, for lack of a better phrase? Is it someone that they reach out and ask you and say, hey, do you mind coming by this week? Or do you, kind of monitor your clients to see if they might have went through something and that they might be beneficial from her services? What are the mechanisms to get Maggie into a station?
So at this point in time, Maggie does come with me when I do meetings with some of our departments, meetings, trainings, etc. But the big thing is they call and ask for Maggie. And we may occasionally stop by for just a random visit. But if there is a need or a request for Maggie, we will make every effort we can to accommodate that.
So can you talk about, you mentioned that there are a lot of resources out there. It's just whittling through and finding the good ones. So can you talk about some of the good resources that you were able to leverage to implement this?
Absolutely. Well, again, I want to give a handout to the Brevard County Sheriff's Office Paws and Stripes program. It's very interesting to attend that school and to look at their map, because whenever you're there, you put a pin on a map that shows where you are from, and to see that map and to see how many folks across the nation have actually traveled to that department just for certification of their program. The Charlotte Fire Department, located in Charlotte, North Carolina, based off of my research, they were one of the earlier departments to get involved and actually have a organized therapy dog program. I believe currently they have 4 different dogs that work with their facility. They have someone who's involved in training those dogs, and they were very helpful early on to share information and to share resources with me. Another organization that is very active in therapy dog certification is First Responder Therapy Dogs Incorporated, which is located out of San Rafael, California. They are a nationwide organization that works to acquire, assist, train, and certify therapy dogs. They have trainers throughout the country. They have folks that are able to test your dogs throughout the country. And then as part of their organization, not only do they provide you with a certification, but they also can provide you with an insurance policy in the event that your dog ever should be aggressive towards someone or be accused of hurting someone. One of the most important things, speaking of aggression, most of your training facilities that train dogs or evaluate dogs, if at any point in time that dog shows any aggression toward a handler, another person, or another animal, they're immediately taken out of the program. because that's the last thing we want is a dog to appear aggressive. That is also why everyone is familiar with police dogs, with search dogs, with bite dogs. There are specific breeds that just absolutely do not make good therapy dogs. And two of those would be German Shepherds and Malinois. Not because of the dog's personality, but because the stigma that comes with those and the fact that those are typically dogs you see in a law enforcement environment, and it's not one that you want to go up and pet.
Dogs of aggression.
Absolutely. A Labrador Retriever would be different. Obviously, there are labs that are used in drug sniffing scenarios. There are some that are used in arson canine detection. There's some that are used as explosive detection animals. Labs do make very good therapy dogs because everybody knows that labs, they like to play, they like to smile, they like to retrieve things. We chose the Golden Doodle because, number one, when I visited with the breeder and I picked her up the first time, she was the dog for me. We chose the breed because they don't shed a lot, and everybody sees them and is like, oh, she looks like a little teddy bear. That's the type of reaction we wanted to get. We did not want children to be afraid of her. We did not want adults to be afraid of her. We wanted them to see her and naturally think, oh, I want to hug that dog.
Oh, cute dog. Yeah, and naturally drawn
Maggie's
to them.
job is to let them hug her, to let them pet her, to let them love on her, and then in return, she loves on them.
Well, Brent, it was a pleasure talking with you today, and I appreciate you sharing your story and how you got Maggie involved. I wish she was here to for us to pet on a little bit. It'd be nice to see her, but you certainly gave us a coin to give us an idea of what she looks like, and she's a beautiful dog and doing beautiful work. And so we thank you for what you're doing and what Maggie's doing for our emergency service providers.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate the opportunity.
And I want to thank you for listening to the program and for your interest in VFIS safety resources. I want to thank Brent once again for his time and information. Please consider subscribing to our program to stay up to date on new content releases. Also, if you like what you've heard, please consider leaving a review below. For more information about the many resources available from VFIS, please visit VFIS.com. And to submit ideas for future discussions, please reach out by emailing VFISriskcontrol@VFIS.com. Thanks, everyone, and have a great day. The views, information, or opinions expressed during this program are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of Glatfelter Insurance Group, VFIS, and its employees. Additionally, all views, information, or opinions expressed are provided for informational purposes only and should not be construed as legal, medical, or other professional advice on any subject matter.